What's up, beautiful people? I'm Nathaniel Pearl,
And I'm Sami Sheva.
and welcome to Curious Chimps Podcast, a show where we explore the infinite complexities of the human experience.
We do not endorse anything illegal, so please consult doctors, do your research, and for the love of all that is holy, be safe. All right, let's talk about drugs.
Curious Chimps.
Penn Jillette, the magician, like Penn and Teller.
Yeah.
Fuck, man, he was playing like he was doing like a walking bass, like that. Ba-doom, doom, 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 boom, doom, 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 doom. You know, like that kind of jazzy, like walking the bass. It's called walking the bass. I don't know what the fuck it means musically, but and he's describing what Teller is doing. And they're showing you how magic works. So he's talking like while he's playing this really difficult bass lick, and he's like describing like misdirection and then like palming and like what Teller is doing, and then he starts just saying what he's doing. So he's like palming, pocket, misdirection, and it just starts getting faster and faster, and it's like, oh my god.
Those two guys are so talented.
They're fucking ninjas. I don't know how to say it. But that was clean, man. That was like, every time I see you get better at guitar, it's just cool to watch. Like, I don't know what else to say.
I don't know. I don't feel that way. But maybe I'm just being annoying on myself.
I'm seeing the progress.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's that whole effect, right? Where you just see
Maybe that's
the end result.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like I'm playing, but I don't feel any progress. Maybe that's a good thing. I don't know.
Well, like, maybe videotape yourself. You know, like I mentioned 30 Rock last time we were podcasting. She had a journal, and she realized that a year ago her life was happening the same way. So like the premise of the episode is that she's reading through her journal to know what's going to happen so she can get ahead of it. But it's like there's a lot of power in recording yourself and seeing the patterns.
Yeah.
And you're breaking a pattern. You're learning a new skill. And like a week ago, maybe you were worse at that.
Yeah.
You know, or longer. I don't know how much time you put in per week or whatever, but there was a time when you couldn't do that.
It's true. I do have old recordings of me setting like a couple chords to people when I learned them, and I was like so excited about like the E chord, you know, the E minor or whatever. So when I find those, it's pretty funny to see.
Yeah, like I'm sure you were like just a lot stiffer at some point. I can remember when you were starting and you were just kind of.
I still am very stiff, but I couldn't even do a G. G was super hard to stretch your fingers like that. You know?
It is weird, yeah. And you're kind of doing like
it's getting better. I used to not be able to do one hand. What is this? Star Trek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Long life and prosperity.
We're talking about guitars.
The Vulcans.
Guitar practice.
Yeah, man. It's like, and you're switching between chords really easily.
Yeah.
Like
The transitions are definitely better. But Johnny gave me a really good tip, and I just got to remember it, is just to focus on the strumming hand and then never stop strumming. And then just keep switching notes, but never stop your pattern of strumming. Like, don't wait for the next note to continue.
that is a good trick.
Yeah.
Kind of put pressure on the song.
Yeah.
To keep going. Yeah.
So then the rhythm is there, and then let's say you fuck up a note, so you get back to it. Nothing changed in terms of the whole rhythm of the song.
That's like when you were starting playing and you're like, okay, I'm gonna start over.
Yeah.
Like my rule usually is like just keep going.
Mm.
Like just for the attitude to be like, bah, good enough, you know, and you're like, keep going, just keep going. Let's always just be a slave to that. Keep going.
Yeah, that's a good point too. The show must go on. You just said it before, but it's true. Just you know what? I don't know. For me, music is very
It's fun.
It's fun, but it's also it brings out a lot of insecurities.
That's fair.
At least performing in front of people. You know?
You're learning a new thing that you know you could be good at. I
Yeah.
think that's where the insecurity comes from.
But now I understand why like a singer could be super shy to just let their voice out, and then when they do, it's fucking mind blowing sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's just I don't know. It's an intimate moment with yourself usually when practicing, and you have all these hours of intimate practice of putting you like when you're practicing, you're actually getting passionate and your soul's coming out. And then when someone's in front of you, all of a sudden, you're not
All
used.
that goes away.
Yeah,
And you're playing for them.
yeah.
I've always said playing guitar and playing guitar in front of people is two different instruments.
It's two different monsters.
Two different skills altogether.
Well,
And
fuck,
you got to
man.
get the demons out. You got to just
Yeah.
practice in front of people.
But that's why, like, sometimes you see someone perform, and it's like they're almost possessed. Not in a negative way,
Yeah,
but like
I feel you.
something takes them over, and it just comes out, and you feel it. It's like shaking your bones. I don't know if you had moments like that watching a performance.
I don't know if I've ever thought of it consciously, but in my own experience, when I'm really practiced at a song, and then I play it for someone, even though I'm nervous, they're like, "That was really good," and it's like they just feel the repetition the time I've sunk into it. And even though I was like wobbly sometimes singing because I was nervous or I made mistakes, that's things you notice. But for them, they're kind of captured. And then the more captured you are, of course, like you're saying, then the more captured the audience can be.
Yeah.
And sometimes it goes in an inverse. Someone is like so good, you don't hear a single wrong note. It's like a machine is playing and you're not even impressed anymore. And it's like something in your brain turns off and you have to like, that's me anyway. I just find like some people are so good. But then it's cool to hear them just, sometimes I do it on purpose. When someone's listening to me, I just play the wrong notes. I'm talking, I'm playing something, then I play and I just go like a semitone up, so it just fucks with you hear your body has this like, oh, it's very possible to be in a mistake, to just be an inch off and to have this meh instead of the nah, like that.
But it kind of fits.
What do you mean?
Like it works into the song that you're playing.
Oh no, I'm saying I do it on purpose
Okay.
to show the different sounds. Like this
I
this
see.
is the guitar's not doing the work. I am.
You're kind of like breaking their attention a
yeah,
little bit.
cacophony.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, you're because you see someone play with such ease, you think it's like easier than it is.
Yeah.
They make it look so easy that it's like something to the guitar. It's like if you play a harmonica, it's stuck in a key. It's a lot easier to play Mary Had a Little Lamb or whatever the fuck, I don't know. So on a guitar, to have this chromatic scale and to just be able to go like all the way up, you really got to put things in the right place. And then it's also about how hard you're pushing, or else some note is going to be muted, or you hit the wrong note with your right hand, or the wrong string. I mean, like there's so much coordination involved when you get it right. And if someone doesn't appreciate that, I'm aware of that, and then I'll just play the wrong thing on purpose. It's a very weird thing that I'm aware of, but I just get them recoordinated to being appreciative.
Just your natural cacophony mind. I think it's just something that
For some things,
it makes sense that you would do something like that.
It's very Sammy.
It is very savvy. Just playing a song. Oh, you're jamming. Go through, change it up, go back.
It's not. It doesn't serve me during COVID though, because like I just like fuck with people in public now. Like I don't cough and like sneeze and shit. I don't want to stress people out who are like already scared. But like people who walk around with masks outside, I don't understand it. It kind of bothers me. It's security theater. The whole mask thing. We have a curfew in Montreal, like in Quebec. None of this makes sense to me.
You know, on the way to pick you up, I saw a guy walking with a gas mask on. I don't know if he's being a cacophonist or whatever.
Like a full-on gas mask?
It looked like one. It had like the two pieces on the sides.
But it has a visor?
Yeah, his whole eyes and face were
Oh my
covered,
God, no,
and he was
you're
just
not.
walking with his grocery bags.
That's
And if you're at that
That
level of
guy's-
fear, maybe he has like, in his defense, maybe he has some crazy condition that he just can't risk it, or maybe he has COVID and he's just being very polite to everyone else. I don't know, but whatever it is, you need to kind of rethink things if you're going like that outside alone.
Or that's the only mask he had, and he had to go shopping. And then he's on his way out, so he can't take the mask off.
Mm.
He doesn't have
Okay,
hands
we'll give him
free.
that. But for the most part,
Third possibility.
for the most part, maybe you gotta just try to tone down the fear a little bit and assess your life and see what kind of decisions you're making that are
Yeah.
impulsive
Well,
or
that-
out of fear. or out
That
of
Carlin
love.
thing you just showed me, like fear
Oh,
is
yeah.
a
Dude, we're all gonna die, man.
fear is a commodity.
Yeah.
Fear is a thing that creates money for people.
It's the fear
We've
carnival.
talked about it a million. Yeah, the fear carnival.
It's
yeah,
that.
man.
Yeah, if you haven't heard Fear Carnival, go back on one of our videos. Type in Fear Carnival. It's a vision I had on ayahuasca. But yeah,
But
it's-
long story short, it's worth discussing. Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
it's fear makes you act a certain way. In general, humans do this. Monkeys do this. There's a book called The Human Zoo. I'm sure I've mentioned it as well already on the podcast. But it compares the psychological problems of monkeys in cages in captivity versus humans in cities, and it's shockingly and
I don't think you brought this up.
saddeningly similar.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a really good book. It's an old book too. This is not a new idea, right?
So what is it? They get more aggressive? They,
It's
I'm just thinking of the city.
for the most part, the idea is that we mimic each other because we want acceptance, and that's the root. That's the fear versus love thing. Because when you go into that dichotomy, the idea is self-love, is a quality of love, and not a searching of a physical or emotional love, but this kind of philosophical love, you know. And this philosophical fear comes from this deep spiritual understanding that at a DNA level we need each other, and there's all this social weirdness that happens. It's different with monkeys, but there's kind of this like follow the leader, like I don't want to say alpha because that's kind of been like disproven in monkeys,
Okay.
as opposed to dogs. Like it's crazy how easily I can understand dog psychology. I don't get cats yet fully, but humans I'm still learning, obviously. And like we follow. We just need to be in a brainwave state where we mimic each other, and we talk about it a lot. We say monkey see, monkey do. There's there's a word for the brain, for the part of the psyche, let's say in Sanskrit. I forgot it right now, makana or something. I don't remember, but it means monkey in Sanskrit. Like the monkey mind comes from a long. It's like an old idea, and it's because they move involuntarily and they mimic each other. You know, a monkey is just an itch, and you're moving, and it's fear as a quality. It's not I'm afraid and my hair is standing on end and I feel like I'm in danger. It's I need to do this to be accepted. And in some deep unconscious way, I'm towing the line, as they say, you know?
Have you ever seen those public, social experiment, you want to call it? But it was hilarious. I think it was more for comedic purposes, but it was surprisingly scary on how easy it was to manipulate a group of people. Anyway, so I think you had a couple paid actors in a waiting room of a doctor's office or something, and then the nurse would what happened? And I think they called the name of the person, and then the person would anytime a name was called, there was like 3 paid actors. They would stand up and then sit down, just like that, and then
they all started doing it.
Yeah, so then one person would come in. There's 3 paid actors and then one normal person, and then calls the name. Okay. The 3 paid actors stand up. The normal person looks around like, what the fuck's going on? Stand down. After like 3 or 4 cycles, she starts doing it with them. And then
just in case. Yeah. They don't want to get in trouble.
Just because it started getting weird. Oh, maybe I'm supposed to be doing this. And then one actor leaves. There's only 2 actors. Her and now another guy come in. And everyone's standing, sitting. And then eventually there's no more actors. And there's a full lineup of people sitting and standing. And then someone asked, like, what are we doing this for? And it was an actor. And then everyone's like, I don't know. I have no idea why I'm doing this. I've just been standing up and sitting every time a name is called.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the beta wave. That is what
wave.
you're using when you're driving. It's a good thing.
It's effective for a lot of things.
But it's unfortunately you're also maybe using it when you're watching TV.
Well,
and
I think that's what TV's trying to put you in that state.
Well, for the most part, I think so. I mean, like maybe there's alpha if you're someone who works in cinema, or you have like a care for if you're like a cinephile.
But when you see these
the commercials, bro, when you're half paying attention, and when they're like there's swelling music and there's a person and there's political this and and you need to buy this.
Listen, there's a reason why huge companies, I should call them corporations, use commercials and spend so much money on these things. Because they know the psychology behind it.
Yeah. Is not allowed
Dude,
anymore.
there's some...
They just do superliminal now. Everyone who's listening, I bet you buy Colgate or Crest or one of those, and you don't think about it. Even though there's 10 other ones, and there's healthier options and all these things, you just go for what you know. It's superliminal programming. They're not hiding it. They're just bombarding you with no other options.
They're taking over the unconscious mind, the subconscious mind, by just... Because the subconscious is just pulling things to the conscious is pulling things from the subconscious like a file of cabinet, you know, and the quickest option, whatever. So it hears Colgate 30,000 times. That's floating in the unconscious, subconscious.
It's in your nervous system.
And then when you think, I need to brush my teeth, the first file that comes out is going to be Colgate.
I mean, there's an interesting effect in psychology when it comes to control, and the idea that if it's presented to you, like, you know, the monkeys in the cage with the electric floor, or like what you're talking about, like the people standing up in the doctor's office, that's them unconsciously making the decision. But what if someone tells you, what if an authority figure tells you what to do? Now you have to make the decision consciously, air quotes, big air quotes, because you're predisposed to either now say yes every time or 80% of the time, or no. And again, that is predictable behavior and thus controllable. It's interesting, right?
That's crazy.
So
Yeah.
you even when you think you're making a choice, you're just falling into a demographic. And guess who cares about that? Guess who's going to play both sides and
Mhm.
make the money? You know, either way, you buy, you sell, I'm going to make the profit.
It's crazy. Look, there's some commercials from when I was a kid that I can recite to you. For radio commercials.
Oh, stop,
Like-
get your own sandwich.
I don't know that one, thank God.
Back off, get your own sandwich. Dude, every time I hear the words back off, I just get your own sandwich. Like it comes out of me.
I don't know if you know the Alarm Force one.
I just know the jingle.
It's like call 1-800-267-2001.
Yeah. the
That's when I heard
numbers.
it. Alarm Force.
Music, man.
dude,
Music fucking sticks.
That's in my head. That's from 2001. Like, why is that still there playing around? That's how effective marketing is.
Because you heard it 6 times a day.
And it worked. If I'm thinking quickly on which alarm company to work with, if I never had an alarm company to buy my first home, Alarm Force is probably going to be the first one that pops in my mind. So that $30,000-$40,000 investment they made per day on fucking bombarding you is paying off.
And even if that's not, like, even if you don't think of it, because it's kind of this, like, semi-conscious remembering, you know?
Yeah.
But what if some advertisement comes up again, and then you have this weird, like, fallacious trust, you know, this illogical, like, oh, I know these guys. You don't. You've just heard the name over and over and over
Yeah.
and over and over, and you're like, well, they must be good. And then there's a rationale. Your ego is going to jump in and double down, like we
Yeah.
keep talking about, and it's going to say, oh, well, they must make a lot of money because they have all this advertisement. Like you're letting yourself be tricked. You're deciding that the tricking is good now. Like it's crazy how
It's fucked.
layered
It's,
it can get.
It's very layered.
And people just don't get this. No one knows. Like psychology should be like a grade school thing
I hope.
or like a high school thing. Like you should
Something
learn
early
this
then,
shit.
Yeah.
It's
I was so
terrifying.
upset about going into CGIP and taking critical thinking class for the first time. I'm like,
Yeah,
why
me
the
too.
fuck did we not have this in high school?
I had a great teacher too. I if he's ever listening to the Mr. Bud, you're the shit.
The best name possible.
Timothy Budd. He's a great
Damn.
teacher.
Yeah.
I hope he's in university now teaching people. He taught us critical thinking using Socrates, using philosophy, and like we read like old books and stuff. Like it was so
Nice.
cool. And he would show us like optical illusions, and he would drink way too much coffee and be so animated. Dude, even if we came in not caring, he would make us like
That's
be
cool.
animated by the end. He was such a good teacher, and he's also like in a band, and he plays like banjo, like a motherfucker.
It's a perfect philosophy teacher.
I loved him. I love him. I almost want to meet. I almost want to like reach out to him.
Let's get him on the podcast. That'd be fucking awesome.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
He's like above our pay grade. He's like a smart guy. Like I would love to.
We
talk.
need to have people like this on.
Yeah, we've had some before.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
But I think it's very important for people to recognize these underlying mechanisms that are operating in the background, the back end of all these things that are being operated.
I mean,
And-
critical thinking
Yeah.
seems
You need
like
to be
so fundamental to life.
Well, the whole
So
thing.
obvious.
Another George Carlin video I was watching is "Question Everything." That's like the headline of his bit, and Joe Rogan adopted that philosophy, and that philosophy is what you really should do. And question everything is literally everything.
It's exhausting though.
It's fucking
to be
exhausting,
fair.
and it can get into a lot of arguments with people around you
That's
as well.
why it's exhausting because you're not part of a party.
I know.
You're not stuck
But
in a
do you want-
comfortable family of thinkers.
But do you want to be that person who stands up, sits down, and not questions, or do you want to be that fucking guy that comes in? What are we all doing here?
I don't know who said this, but there's a quote that comes to mind. You can go through life accepting everything or doubting everything. Either one will stop you from thinking. So there's a sweet spot. But question everything seems neutral enough. You know, they even changed that. You know when they say don't believe everything you hear? Then it evolved. Now they say don't believe anything you hear and half of what you see.
But isn't that the scientific method? That's the premise of it, is that it's
Sure.
100% off, wrong, and prove me right kind of thing. Or prove me wrong.
Yeah, you know, like this nice, let's say, like connection between philosophy and science, like in terms of the academia, is this culture of people. I forgot what they're called, but the website's called lesswrong.com, and I love that they live by that like a creed, like a motto. Like you're never right. You can only be less wrong. And again, that's exhausting because we want to feel like we got a handle on things.
It's
Somewhere.
comfortable. It's
Yeah.
comforting. But it's...
But that's been hijacked also because, like, for me, my science right now, and I really call it that, it's improvable. it's only for me. It's an internal work. I'm using objective experience and data, and I'm making observations and I'm testing hypotheses, but it's all happening internally. So I can't peer review this shit. This is yoga. But yoga is a science, and I say that with no irony or bending of any words. Like
bending of any words.
Sorry?
Yoga, bending some words. Sorry, I had to put that up.
Pun not intended, but yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So I feel like that science needs to be broad again. It can't be
I think it's heading there.
Well, a lot of things are opening up again.
Yeah.
I think people are fed up, and there's a lot of weird shit that's just making people look at reality.
On the darker side of that corner,
Cacophony.
Yeah, but it's also kind of scary how on one end you'll have people that don't trust science at all.
Wow. Sorry.
on one hand you'll have people that don't trust science at all, and then on the other breath they're trusting science in certain they're cherry picking what they trust, and that can get dangerous too. Because
or they're believing everything. Yeah, I very dangerous.
You need to just because it has scientific background or whatever, and it's being whatever you want to talk about, you still have to have the same lens of skepticism, whether it's this guy saying it or X person saying it. It has to be, you can't put more weight because the authority figure who's saying it is more valuable or has more credentials, or is just, you have to have the same lens throughout the whole process.
So this is the practical side of that. When do you stop questioning everything? Do you ever stop? Do
Look,
you just
I'm
get
guilty.
used to
I'm
that?
guilty as fuck. Whatever Neil deGrasse Tyson says, I'm pretty much on board with.
Yeah, you take his word for it.
I take his word for it.
I don't care what black holes are doing.
Yeah.
It doesn't affect me. But if he says, "Yo, if this happens and that happens and black holes and relativity," and I'm like, that kind of makes sense. I
So I'm
compare
guilty.
it that.
I'm guilty of it too. But maybe.
But it doesn't affect us. You know, there's a part that starts affecting your life.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if someone who looks at a different professional in the same lens that I look at Neil with and takes whatever he says as gold, and that's affecting their personal life. You know, I have to kind of understand that whatever Neil deGrasse would say, I'm on board with. I'm like, this is fucking true. He says it. It's got to be true. He's reviewed it. But someone
It's good enough.
Yeah.
Doesn't need to be true, but it's true enough. You
Yeah.
know, we can,
I feel like he's done the research for me, and I can move on with my life.
But feel is that's the important thing, is that you realize that. You're gonna take it with less grain of salt or no grain, like you're just not going to be scrutinizing at all because this doesn't affect your life. So you're like, if I'm going to talk about this at a party and sound smart or something, like,
Yeah.
I'm not an astrophysicist. I can't go to that level.
Yeah.
There's not many things we can. That's the scary part. And whether you're going to jump on the Neil deGrasse Tyson train or the, I don't know, all the weird erroneous shit that's happening with COVID, or even if you go the other way with all these crazy conspiracy theories, and you go on YouTube and watch a 3-hour video with swelling music and a confident speaker,
and
you've learned nothing, but you suddenly believe something.
It gets dangerous.
Yeah, all of that is wrong.
Yeah.
All of that, you do not know. The best scientists, and thank God Tyson says this a lot, we never know. We're never sure.
Yeah.
Any scientist that comes in and says that, wrong. And he will say, look, I know this, but I did, dozens of years of fucking schooling and continued education. And like Sadhguru says that also. You want to talk about the afterlife? You want to talk about God? You want to talk about like the elements affecting your karma and reincarnation? You're not experiencing any of this. I'm just telling you a story. It's a lie as far as you're concerned. Why do you want to know these things? Sit, be still, feel it for yourself. And then now I start trusting you. And again, that can be used as a trick. But a little bit of trust goes a long way. A lot goes nowhere.
It can go in the opposite direction.
Exactly.
Too. It can lead you to storm a Capitol and think you're making history.
Great example.
But it's the truth. And I think this is a really, really strong point we should jump into, because
Hit me.
the whole QAnon thing
Sure.
is an example of what we're talking about. Of you watching a 3-hour video and it makes so much fucking sense. The music is perfect. Your emotions are fucking boiling and the hormones are going. And all of a sudden everyone's a fucking pedophile and everyone is... Look, I was on board for that for a few weeks. It was not the QAnon stuff, but I was...
Yeah, Pizzagate, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, that shit was flying, man. And you know what? Maybe some of it's true, but I would tell you about 80% of everything is bullshit.
You know, well, here's the thing. Humans are going to do what they can. We're like water. We fill the cracks. I've always said that. So some crazy shit like that is happening somewhere, and we should change systems so that these things can be mitigated and negated, fully negated, stopped. They're horrible, horrible possibilities that I don't even want to conceptualize fully or verbalize fully because it's just horrific for me. But it's part of reality. That we're just weird. you know, like the story you said, the experiment where people get up, we end up doing weird shit to each other.
Yeah.
Because we just were raised a certain way or whatever. And I don't know, but your point is big because, you know, I have a friend who sends me a video. He's a smart guy. I have nothing against him, you know, but he's falling into some things and he sends me a video and I watch the whole thing. And it's like I wasted 30 minutes because I learned nothing. It was clips of Trump. It was QAnon stuff. It was like, oh, and then he did this and then this and then, and they kept using a word over and over. I can't remember what it is right now. Concessions.
Okay.
He kept making like party leaders and governments and religious leaders give concession. And I'm like, what is he saying? He said nothing. I've learned nothing in this video. Am I just stupid? Like, and then I ask him, explain this to me. Make this make sense. You know, like, are you just getting a feeling from a video? Like, I'm asking, but I'm also maybe saving you from being stupid. But maybe you can save me from being stupid. Let's be less wrong together. You know.
Yeah.
And he just went. He just didn't have anything. And I'm like, okay, now you have to deal with that.
This is
I'm back to zero, and now you're in a negative.
This is the danger I was getting to you about is when you nitpick your critical thinking and you nitpick you cherry pick your scopes of what you want to believe and what you want to take in that's true and what you want to push away that's false.
Yeah.
And it gets compromised because you want to believe something and your desire compromises and corrupts your critical thinking. And then you're watching that video and you're convinced. And now all of a sudden you form like this callus on your opinion. And it's not going to change that with the ease anymore. It's like embedded.
Yeah.
But it's off a fucking false premise from the beginning. But you've tricked yourself into turning off your critical thinking just to believe it. And, you know, that's the scary part. Because I was seeing a lot of people saying, 5 more days, he's going to show everyone QAnon is coming. Just wait. 3 more days, the military are going to take over the U.S. Biden it's a fake election.
It's like the
and they're sending me videos.
7 days.
They're sending me videos of... Look, some of my friends, I dearly love them, but you guys got to really start to rethink the way you process information because they're sending me videos, or not even videos, just breakdowns and how it's really a military government. Biden, it's all an act. They own the media. They're in like a fucking blue screen or a green screen, whatever. And it's all like, look at the distance of these people behind Biden and this video angle and see the switch of the angle of different people. And I'm like, you guys have to understand these cameras are probably like 10 kilometers away zoomed in, you know? It's like, they look right behind each other, but there's probably like 15 meters behind these people. It's just a camera angle, you know. It's literally.
Well, you can really get lost in the minutia when you start feeding hope into this.
I know, because
and then you're like, that must be true. Also, that must be true. Yeah.
And
now you become what? There's got to be a better word, like of lacking critical thinking. Like conspiracy theories can be a very intelligent assumption sometimes. You know, there's a guy recently on YouTube who never gets into conspiracy theories, and he recently just made a 30-minute video. Like all of his videos are long. It's called More News with Cody Banks, I think. He used to be on Crack.com, and he did his own thing on YouTube, and he just gets into this whole thing with Bill Gates and Pfizer and like all the vaccine stuff, and like I won't get into it too much, but like. They used people in South Africa to test vaccines, and now instead of giving the working ones to them for free, they're going to charge them double.
And they tested it on the people.
Yeah.
So now they're coming back and charging double.
It wasn't Pfizer now that I think of it. I don't remember the company name, but Bill Gates essentially strong-armed them because he has control over these things through his like his charity. So he's giving money to all these things, like some of which might not even be his money because you're giving to that charity. Like I don't know how any of this stuff works, but he stopped them from open sourcing the vaccine formula so that it can be a commodity. So it can be
and this is real.
Sold.
This is reported. Like
I looked into it a little afterwards, but
you can verify it.
Well,
it's
like,
there.
Don't take my word for it, and I kind of took his word for it because, like we're talking about, I kind of trust that guy because he's very, like, no nonsense. And then he even started opening this conspiracy theory door, and I was like, man, come on, you know, when a guy kind of like puts himself out there, because he's just factual. He's like, look, this was reported, that was reported, this is happening, and the worst part, I mean, not to get on the soapbox, but like. I hate people like who are like, well, what did you expect? Like they like it's like first it's you're being a conspiracy theorist and like you're stupid, and then now it's like of course there's a conspiracy theory, and it's like we have to do something. We're all gonna die and be dumb and be controlled by money and poisons. Like, do you not see what's going? I feel like a crazy tinfoil person. Like, there's a pattern. Things will continue to happen into the future. Like, it aggravates me. Anyway, okay, I'm done. I'm gonna zip it up.
Yeah, but
zip it up because I'm very emotional about this as well. I'm like all these people we're talking about.
But then you also got to keep your lens on because it can get clouded because you can find more and more videos and stuff. I'm not saying anything about this Cody Banks guy. Maybe everything he said is legit, but you might go down a rabbit hole where it starts to get into the anger, and then you start to pull in more things that are.
Well, I've seen a lot that I know is true from my experience, but the lens you're talking about is acceptance, understanding I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the truest lens.
Look, I don't know what Bill Gates is up to, man. I don't know if he's positive, negative. I know right now, very sketchy shit. He's buying a shit ton of farmland across the world. Like I'm talking thousands and hundreds of thousands of acres.
People in India are fucking like, their lives are ruined because of Bill Gates.
And no one talks about that. And
none of this is on the news. You have to go looking for it.
And I know. And this is where it's frustrating because if you want to explore these ideas, for the most part, people have their stance solidified. Bill Gates is a philanthropist. He can't do anything wrong. He did Microsoft. He's really doing it for the people. We don't know that. We know what we're told. Okay? But we don't know.
I love the fallacy. Yeah, when people are like, oh, like this guy, he started a $1 billion company and he became the richest man in the world, and then he started giving a bunch of money to charities and stuff. And oh yeah, this guy on the internet, he's right about how this guy's evil.
I see people under one breath.
What does one have to do with the other?
I see people under one breath that say all billionaires are super evil monsters, terrible parasites, and then the next day they're posting about Bill Gates and how positive he's doing with his philanthropy. You're forgetting that we don't know this guy's motives.
Yeah.
If you're going under the premise that all billionaires are evil, which I don't abide by that at all, I think that's
can't be true.
No, it's just the reality is
extreme.
If you're someone who takes the risk to go out there and do something as crazy as starting a fucking
maybe
Microsoft,
the majority of them are intense people.
Yeah, and then the public and the market rewards them in that sense. Elon Musk, for example, he's one of the richest guys right now. The guy is fucking. If you understood what he did to make PayPal, to make Tesla, your head would explode. And obviously, when you put that much energy out there, it's going to return to you that much tenfold, whatever you want to call it. So I don't want to say billionaires are evil. Maybe some of them are, whatever. But if you're saying that, and then in the same breath you're pushing the vaccine and you're pushing Bill Gates articles about this,
cognitive dissonance. Yeah,
it's like you're not thinking clear anymore.
It's funny that because I don't know, I can't. It's hard for me to imagine. I never really tried to really get into the head of like a billionaire, because if you think of like the fear involved, if you're the kind of person who thinks that all billionaires are evil and like you're like me a bit in this paranoia of like a corporatocracy that's just becoming a dystopia like very quickly all of a sudden because the pieces have been in place for a while, and it's a legacy. It's this thing that's been planned for a while. If you think that way, and then you see someone like Bill Gates who might be a good guy, you might latch onto him like he's Batman, and then there's a fallacy there, but it's an emotional reaction and you want hope. You need hope sometimes, but you really should like accept what's going on.
Check yourself.
You don't know the first part, the first assumption, and you shouldn't rely emotionally on the second assumption. But what are they afraid of? They have a certain way of living. They're so powerful. They control huge swaths of the planet. They might be doing the same thing, but just with bigger pieces. They're just a human. They have the same fallacies, the same faults, the same virtues as we do. And some, I don't know what's his name, Cranston, the guy who owns Virgin.
I don't know.
Or I don't remember his name. Richard Branson?
I think it's Richard Branson. That name sounds familiar.
Like maybe he's a good guy. Maybe he's he's like, fuck it. It's capitalism, and I'm gonna make some money, but I'm gonna take care of my frontline workers. I'm gonna be a philanthropist. I think he's knighted. Like these things are something at least. But like in the end we don't know. We just know that the system has a kind of sickness, and that these people, even if they're virtuous and they want to help the people, their subordinates, they might make a lot of other people suffer. They're helping the boardroom. They're I don't know the words. They're helping the stocks go up. They're helping they're helping their interest, their corporate interest.
I don't think it's as simple as an individual decision at that point.
And Rogan says that a lot. Corporations have become entities that have their own desires.
That's it.
And it's this weird spiritual understanding of their own intelligence. And we're obviously feeding into it. We're like the neurons or something.
You have to understand, for a billionaire to operate, it's very rarely that they're a single person to get there. They have a huge company. Like if you're a billionaire, there's a few billionaires that were made from the whole GameStop fiasco. If everyone knows about the GameStop thing, and it's incredible, the stories. Like You know, are they evil people because they rallied onto this thing, jumped on, and they made $1 billion?
Well, it's karma. It's in the
Yeah.
true sense. It's a reaction.
Yeah.
It's action and reaction. I'm not saying it's karma for the rich people, but I'm saying it's there was a space for that to happen
And it
a
happened.
desire for
Yeah.
that to happen. And Bob's your uncle.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
But so for the most part, I would say billionaires are an accumulation of work of thousands of employees, and you're just the top dog of the ship, and you're accumulating the wealth from their work and your work, and it just grows into this thing. So when you have that kind of money tied in there, you're not able to just do these crazy rash decisions of give your money to everyone and that's the end of it. You're tied into this corporation that has a boardroom, that has fucking executives, that has a voting direction where if you want to get anything done, there's a huge vote that goes in and the shareholders have to agree. It's a
Yeah.
complicated story.
You
man.
might have this kind of like political lifestyle just within your own company because you might be able to get pushed out or something.
Yeah.
I don't understand
and
any
it gets
of this
very
stuff.
complex if you're a huge company
Then you're
like
just
Microsoft.
a mouthpiece.
Yeah.
Then whatever the majority wants, they start taking over.
Jack Dorsey,
internally.
man, the CEO of Twitter, he started Twitter. He has no control over it right now.
Yeah,
Everyone's
Too big.
blaming him, but he's literally no control of what Twitter wants to do.
He'll just show his face and his fucking
Well, he's
oddly
the face.
straight beard.
Yeah, but
and he just goes to his fucking super yacht afterwards.
Did you ever watch the Black Mirror episode? It's from the new season. The employee of some crazy corporation kidnaps another employee or something.
Oh,
or
God,
ex-employee.
that actor. Yeah, dude. The CEO was Topher Grace.
Yeah,
the guy from that '70s show.
Yeah, it was.
And he just meditates.
Yeah,
At the end,
it was.
He just goes back.
But you saw he had no power over what happened because the boardroom was telling him what to do. He did have that God mode thing.
He kind
which
of
was
admitted it at the end. Yeah,
He did have that God mode where he just like fucking triangulated who that guy was and called him. But the board was like, the board thinks we should do this, and he had no say. And
that
it was his company.
Dude, that whole episode is so poignant to what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Like, and the guy, like, burning his life to make a point, like an entire life just to get a second with this dude. You know, like that's the kind of inequity that's happening, even with our time, with our very being. It's watered down into what's working for the economy, essentially.
Yeah.
And then the lengths he had to go to, and this guy was still putting on airs, still putting on a face, and then kind of broke at the end and was like, look, man, I don't even really have control, and then he goes at the end. I don't want to ruin it if no one's seen it. It's a great episode. The acting.
It's from the new season.
Yeah, the guy is the dude who played the Merovingian, or no, not Merovingian. That's from Matrix. What's the name of the bad guy from Sherlock Holmes?
I haven't seen it. I'm terrible.
Moriarty. Professor Moriarty in the new Sherlock Holmes, with Cumberbatch.
Okay.
That actor, dude, is amazing in that episode. Fucking like I look at this stuff, okay, and I'm just blown away. I think I've even talked about that episode on this podcast before. But at the end, when the CEO just goes back into meditation, people have to be careful. They're not meditating. Meditation is a way to be able to sit still and then to listen. But what people are doing is turning their fucking brains off. They're just practicing dullness. And even in a spiritual context, we have this weird, like, ghetto-ass, like, following thing that's, like, it's old and broken. It's stupid. It's, like, don't do that. That's not what it is. Get a meditation teacher. Don't listen to a YouTube video. Don't just sit and look at your navel or preach or chant Om or something. Like, you can be ruining something kind of innately human about yourself, and then just be more of a.
I would say yes and no. I would say if that does serve you in some form of just relaxing, it's a good start.
But that's not meditation and relaxing should not be synonymous. You should learn to become still, and then relaxation won't be a factor.
I get it. That's the truth. If you really want to go down your hole, it's the truth.
These words have meaning. If you want to
it's an
call
ancient
that
practice.
meditation, then I'll describe it as something else.
It's an ancient practice, and it's not as simple as a quick YouTube video or just focusing on a point or something. It's a very deep practice to be content with being, with literally just being, with nothing else.
But I would even say, because I don't even want to say it's ancient. It's like, it's innate. It's innate.
It's innate.
It's innate.
It's in me.
You want to
and it's in
meditate, you have to kill this guy and eat his organs. That got dark really fast. Yeah, okay. No, but it's not. Fuck culture is what I'm trying to say. Go within. All of this is a birthright. Don't listen to other people for these things. There's a lot of if you want to learn something academically, if you want to learn something and stand on the shoulders of giants, as they say, like that is important and cool, because that's a lot of our innovation. We get to skip steps. We get to fast forward our lives and become really masterful at things that if we just kind of started from scratch, it would take forever.
Yeah.
You know, like Rogan jokes about, like, you know, like if I give you an axe and put you in the woods,
I just watched that yesterday.
how long would it take for you to send me an email?
Well, yeah, we're like these mics that we're able to broadcast a podcast.
So I respect that. But,
Yeah.
but when it comes to inner engineering, you know, you want to read some books and get some ideas, you're only getting a map. No one can taste the fruit for you. And for
I don't even
real,
know if it's a map. I think it's just their map, and they figured it out, and they're just trying to show you how they figured it out, and maybe it helps you. But
it's like you're circling the idea.
Yeah,
It can give you ideas.
you'll never touch the idea.
Yeah.
You'll get an idea of the idea, but you're gonna fucking have to go in that door. You know?
You're going to have to find the door yourself. You're going to have to, it's all going to have to be you. It's all a listening and everything we're kind of touching on now, it's all a birthright. And it's impossible for someone to really help you do it yourself. And I just to quote The Matrix, because it's a great movie, Morpheus said, like, I can only show you the door. Like you said, the door, like you have to walk through it.
Yeah.
Whatever the metaphor is, when it comes down to it, it's about you, and it's for you, and it's by you, and it's you. And like, I feel like a lot of people, even in it's very spiritual for the real meaning of the word, but in these non-spiritual cultures or like microcultures or contexts, people are realizing this with COVID because of the cacophony, like we talk about, you know, like that idea that things are getting shifted, and then you either have to double down and your ego takes control and you keep making the mistakes, or you go, okay, what the fuck am I doing now? What is this? And you start looking and listening, and you start George Carlining it a little bit and really figuring it out and having that discernment. And a lot of the time that is exhausting, especially at first.
It is.
Because you have to just admit constantly that you have no fucking idea what you're talking about. I know a little bit about yoga and music, maybe, and everything else is just subjective or wrong, you know. And you know about martial arts and the body and massage, and you know, like we have specialties, and even then we just realize how little we know because we learn more and more, like how much there is to know, and it becomes this inverse relationship for how confident we are in our abilities. And I mean, a lot of people nowadays know about the Dunning-Kruger thing there, this idea that the more ignorant you are, the smarter you think you are. And the more you learn, the dumber you realize you are, the dumber you feel.
That's reassuring for me, because I feel like a moron sometimes. So I guess it's a good path to be on.
Dude, there's a story, man. Like, long story short, but
like
Socrates was saying that he was the dumbest person. Like, he's like, I know nothing. And the oracle was saying, you need to find the wisest person in the village or whatever. I don't remember the fucking story at all, but to be honest. But the oracle kept insisting that Socrates was the wisest. And he's like, how can you say that? I don't know anything. And she goes, that's why you're the wisest.
That's it. It's true, though.
And it's like, we should think on that. We should actually sit and absorb that instead of just being like, oh, I get it, and throwing it into the box. Because there's a box for everything these days. We get all the cliches, but sit and really think about that.
Yeah.
What do you think you're good at? What do you think you know? What do you think is dismissible? What are you giving power to? What are you saying? Yeah, they'll take care of it. That trust is a kind of knowing that might have that inverse relationship, even though it looks like humility because you're giving them the power. But thinking that you should give them the power might be a completely wrong thing, or thinking you shouldn't. It just depends. But just listen, just feel. I'm so obsessed with this lately. I'm sorry, I'm going to power down a little bit.
But it's true. It's, you know, we got to use that feeling. We got to harness that energy, because intuition and all that kind of stuff is a valuable tool that you can use as a part of your critical thinking. You can also be blinded by it too. It can also fuck with you and put you in the wrong direction. But if you're getting a weird taste in your mouth about something, you know, go into that, use that, don't ignore that, see what that question is, and find something that comes out into a verbalization of it and understanding of it. You know?
Explore. Exactly. I totally resonate with that. I even kind of have a new vocabulary for intuition, because it's like a different type of intelligence now. I see it as, and it can be practiced. which is weird. It's hard to imagine. You're just going to make mistakes. It's like playing guitar. It's like anything. You're just going to suck at it at first, but just make guesses through feeling. That's pretty much what intuition is. But it's this large computing unconscious thing. And the classical intellect is going to do things in steps and understand how it got there, and it's going to be grueling and it's going to be necessary sometimes. But the intuition just goes from A to Z. Just pops to the end. And it's fucking on. And sometimes it's not, but it's, sometimes you're going to play the wrong note on the piano or whatever. It's there's this movie called La Belle Verte, the Beautiful Green. I've talked about it before, I'm sure. And there's these like alien race and stuff that they're kind of like humans, but they've just like learned to live properly and be like one with nature, but they're also very advanced in like this kind of techno-spiritual way. It's really awesome. It's a great movie. It's a little bit dated, but it's good. And it's French, unfortunately, but I'm sure you can find it with subtitles. If you don't speak French, nothing's wrong with French. I just feel like I bashed French.
It's an English podcast.
That's it. I don't know who's listening. But there's a scene where this little kid, like in this alien race, this young, like 6 years old, is taking like a handful of dice, like 7 dice, and then throws it on the ground, and then looks away. So just gets it for a second, and then it just goes like 47. And then the guy actually tabulates it intellectually, actually takes the time to do the math, and goes, "You're right." So it's like you can learn these crazy things. Like, look at you playing guitar now. You don't have to think of every step anymore. Yeah. But on the way there, you did. So it's like the intellect can be this channel or this like funnel for the intuition. But we just stay on the channel. So we're just walking down the hallway forever. We're never reaching the light. And like when you do yoga now, or like, I don't know, like even anything physical, I can say anything like guitar or sex, like there's intuition that just becomes, like they say, like riding a bike. You don't have to think of it. It's almost like you
already know it and you're just rediscovering it.
Kind of. Well, it becomes.
It's like an archaeologist in a sense that you're just chipping away and learning how to play guitar that way, but you already knew how in a sense.
You know what I would
say? I feel like that's like a fifth dimensional being or fourth dimensional being already knows how to play the guitar.
You're opening a box now. This is deep, bro.
That's what I'm getting out of this.
I would say in a less.
And they're operating on intuition, man. So
they have to be. But this is my point. The entire nervous system is your intelligence, and your cellular memory, your DNA, the elements you're made of. Everything has this kind of intelligence, or a memory, or an awareness, whatever you want to call it, and they're very different. But the nervous system intelligence and this dichotomy is false between intellect and intuition, because the brain is part of the nervous system, so it's like one to me now. And the brain is like this huge processing machine, but then the body is really the being. And when we meditate and when we do yoga and we have these like long periods of time when we have sadhana and we really get into the practice, a lot of the byproduct, a lot of people say, I'm in my body now. I really feel like I'm present, I'm centered in my body. And it's like there's a thing there, So I just feel like in a very physical, concrete way that it's just the nervous system, and like you can condition almost the answers into you. Like my cousin can do trigonometry in his head, and like you need sin cos tan to calculate trajectory. Yeah. So it's not a hard mathematical thing, but if you've just done it a bunch, you can estimate and kind of get the answer. I even knew a guy who could square root things really quickly, and it's just because he's done it so much, and it's just repetition.
I don't know the whole story, but there's a prisoner. He was in prison for a long time, and he learned how to play chess in his mind.
Yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah, so he would just play chess in his brain, like in his head, just playing chess.
I've heard so many stories. There was a book about it once. I don't remember the name now, but the guy was the book was talking about people who were in isolation.
In prison?
Solitary confinement.
Yeah.
Solitary confinement.
That's pretty much globally what we're in right now.
But these people either go nuts because it's horrible for you, wink wink, nudge nudge, or one guy was you told me about the guy who was golfing in his head.
Golfing?
Yeah, that wasn't you?
No.
Someone told me about it. This guy was playing. It might have been Rogan. Holy shit! Again, we'll get him on one day
Thank you, Rogan, for the
for the everything.
yeah.
We're just proto Rogans, or I guess no, he's the proto us.
We're subcategory
Jim.
Rogan.
Yeah, derivative Rogan. English language. Anyway, so
The guy was playing golf with his brain,
because he's
with his mind.
he's been at a specific golf range. I don't know what it's called, a golf course.
He just knows it perfectly.
So he would, but here's the thing. You can dig up memories. You know, there's a whole concept of this with memory palace and stuff. Google it. I'm not going to get into it. I'm sure I've talked about it before also. But and then when he went to play, this is the kind of the mythos part of it, you know, but he went to...
After playing in his mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was, for years, he would just do this to kind of like calm himself or to focus on something.
It's essentially just visualization.
It is exactly
Yeah.
that. And then when he went to do it, he nailed. He got a perfect score. Like
It's
he
very powerful
hole in one
tool.
or something, or par on all.
There's a lot of George St. Pierre, the world champion mixed martial arts fighter. He would visualize the walkouts. He would visualize his hand being raised, like when they announce him. They would visualize the fight, how it would go. He would play it out over and over again, and then the day before the fight, he would go and do all those steps. So he would walk out when there's no crowd and just the octagon. He would do all the movements, go into the octagon, and come out, and just that power. I don't know. That probably had a huge effect on his championship, but the power visualization in sports is a great example because you see it happening in real time, what it can do. And a lot of these greats all talk about visualization.
Yeah,
You know?
there's apparently you can. They say someone who's already kind of good at it, if they just rehearse in their mind, it's almost as good as actual practice.
Yeah.
So it's like you're. I remember I used to do that with kung fu because like you're there like 2 or 3 times a week doing the same fucking movements until the sifu says, okay, it's good enough. Now you can learn the next move. And sometimes he's like, nah, keep doing that. And you're like, oh, you know, and you just. It's like that scene in Kill Bill when she's like she punches in her sleep and she's like she hits the radiator. She's like, oh fuck.
But that's why I love. I feel like that part of the mind was harnessed in sport. You know, visualization was so powerful in sport, but you can do that with any type of practice.
I was just about to say that.
The trigonometry, you were visualizing it, and now you're better at trigonometry. Whatever you're doing.
Matt, I don't know if that's a good example. Okay. Here's what I was gonna say because that's repetition. It's like you let the unconscious do the work. You just through repetition, it's a physical patterning into your nervous system.
But
Even though it's
he's
your brain.
thinking about it too off paper. It's not just only on paper.
I guess you have to try, like we
Yeah.
were saying earlier. Like you have to kind of trial and error with your intuition, and it's not intuitive in the sense where you know the future or something. Like, but it's this concrete intelligence.
Yeah.
But you just skip to the end because you've done it so much.
Mm.
You don't have to do the math like on the paper again, like one by
You
one.
know the process.
Yeah, it's like a weird kind of memory or learning or intelligence, like we keep saying.
But that's it. That's what George would visualize himself winning the fight.
That's what I want to talk.
He's going at the end of the fight.
So get this. This kind of even ties to your already knowing thing that you said, because I really want to go back on that because that's fascinating.
It's interesting.
Right? I wanted to skip it just to say my thing, right? But like, it's okay. Get this.
Well, that's a mind fuck, bro, because that already knowing thing is like a fourth dimensional being, we'll call it. And we're 3-dimensional beings. Or let's say we're fourth. Some people will say we're fourth because of the time dimension, whatever.
Some higher
Yeah, a higher dimension. Maybe we're archaeologists just chipping away at the knowledge and just realize, oh, fuck, we're already there kind of thing.
I have so much to say about that. I won't say, but yeah.
And
Even as a society, I yesterday I was talking to Ramsey actually, and I said something that made him laugh. Where it's like the planet. Oh no, Gina laughed at it, but it's like the planet is like a shitty teenager. It's an old idea, you know, but it's funny to think that there's a lot of growth that needs to happen, and we're still actually very immature.
And
it's like we're doing drugs, like we're ruining our lungs, like we're, you know, we're like the pollution and the confusion and
day one
the
of grade
ego.
7, you know.
Yeah, man, and we might not make it. Some
we
kids
might not
die,
make it.
bro. It's sad, but
or
true.
drop out. And
Yeah,
boom, that's the end of it.
Okay, but I want to go back to this
Go back.
visualization thing. This is really important because my friend Jess, if you ever listen, I don't know if you do, but I love you. She gave me this awesome visualization trick, and it really blew my mind for a specific reason, and it ties into the GSP thing. She said this conversation was about habits, sort of, and like forming good habits. And she said, picture yourself walking into your house, and you see yourself, and you're doing the things that you want to be doing.
Okay.
You know, or that you might be procrastinating on, or whatever. Just the things that
You're
you want to
picturing it, do
do.
it.
Yeah. And then and then you ask yourself, how do you feel right now? And like that blew my mind because obviously my other me is going to answer like, I feel great.
Feel amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, like this is what I want to be doing. Like, okay, sure, maybe it sucked starting, or I had some doubts or some insecurities, but I'm just so glad I'm here, just getting it done. And even if I don't finish it today or whatever, like I see the possible progress. Like this blew my mind.
It's like you're reverse engineering the process. You're seeing the outcome
But
of
in
what
such
it
a way
will do,
that bypasses my insecurities.
because the insecurities are at the start.
exactly.
So you're seeing the outcome.
go
and
to the
you're,
end.
Fuck, it's amazing. I feel so good. Work backwards.
So
It's a very powerful way to look at things.
I know. So that's why back to GSP, like.
Yeah, he sees the outcome. Okay, and he
and it
works his way
triggers
back.
something emotionally. It lets him fight better. It lets him be a better performer. It's not a secret, like the secret like manifestation where he's just visualizing it. Maybe for him it's a very personal and very effective technique, and it resonated with him. So now he uses it, and it allows him to bypass an insecurity that's stopping him like upstream.
Yeah.
And that way of thinking, I was like, shit, man, that opened a door. Like, I'd like to just practice that for now and see how far it gets me. But, like, damn.
Yeah, it's a very, very strategic way of looking at things. And I think a lot of athletes do that now. Is just they look at the outcome they want to achieve. They feel it. They're almost experiencing it in their mind. And then it's like almost like a craving you're getting, because you understand that it's not even a possibility. It's a direction you're going towards. But you're now working from the direction where you want to be. You're working backwards.
Yeah.
And it's...
What? And it, I don't know. I didn't think of it that
It's
way.
like
You're right.
solving a math equation. It's okay. Instead of going, how do you get to 100? You're going, okay, I have 100 now. How did I get to 100? So now you're literally following the equation back to the start from the solution.
Yeah. That's a logical way of looking at it. That's also very useful. I'm really glad you put it that way. Because for me, it was this emotional sensation. Again,
But
the
it can be,
experience.
but
it's
that-
just like, what is blocking me? And then how can what is some intricate, maybe a very simple visualization that just undoes it?
Yeah.
How can I present to myself that I actually want to do the thing, or that I would actually be happy doing the thing? Like this kind of, it is a kind of like a reverse psychology kind of, that's not the right term, but it's like it tricks
is.
you. It's a
Yeah.
back door. It's like you go, hey, this is directly what you want, actually. Why would you not just cross that moat of discomfort and then be in the castle? And it's because I don't know how it feels to be in the castle. It's like, okay, then we're asking smart questions now.
Yeah.
We're working backwards, like you said. Let's just pretend you're in the castle. Talk to yourself. Ask yourself how you feel, not what you did to get there or some weird.
How does it make you feel?
Yeah, this is not about logic.
Yeah.
Motivate yourself to do it, to explore, make the mistakes. That part's fine. That part's
You're
totally
motivating
what you need.
yourself from this hypothetical future self.
Yeah, and actually, so Jess,
Powerful motivation.
this is a part that I kind of resisted because it didn't seem important to me. But Jess was presenting it like this is like some quantum leap thing. Like you're actually talking to a version of yourself.
But that's what I was getting to with my whole thing. But
that doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, I know. It's interesting.
But okay,
It's stoner talk in the end. But
another me is irrelevant to me. Is my consciousness going to hop into this person? I don't. That's too brainy for me. I love sci-fi. I don't want to think of this stuff because I think of all the weird like Black Mirror consequences and shit.
yeah.
But what you were saying before does apply, that I already know this. I'm just kind of undoing blockages. And there's this deeper, grander, wider, whatever you want to call it, intelligence that I totally have access to. And it can be a spirit guide or myself in the not too distant future or myself way in the future. Who cares or knows how real these things are, but they're very fluid, but very directional and very pointed at you and very personal and very useful. So fuck it.
Yeah, 100%.
And okay, that being said, let's think about it. It's trippy. Let's have fun with the actual possibility.
Well, for me, I find it mind-blowing that maybe in a higher dimensional setting,
I think I just broke this light.
in a higher dimensional setting, though, you're literally just seeing when you're out of this dimension. Okay, it's like someone explained to me the dimension is really interesting. You can watch so many videos. Carl Sagan, I highly recommend to just the Flatland little 7-minute video on YouTube. Anyway,
Or the movie Flatland is actually really
you tell
interesting.
me, I gotta watch it. Fuck, you've been telling me about it 10 times already.
It's weird. It's a really mind blowing movie.
But he's like, he was saying, if two rings are attached, we can't break them, right? Unless we snap it. But if two two circles are attached, and well, a ring, whatever, call it ring, if they're attached in a fourth dimension, in a higher dimension, it's literally just you can pull apart at ease. It like kind of goes through itself. With it's not even a complex issue in that dimension. It's just so simple. Just whoop, it's apart. You know?
Now you're talking about spatial dimensions.
Yeah, but that's just an example of what I'm trying to say is that for a higher dimensional you, all those outcomes have already been done. It's just looking at you from like this perspective that it's like those two rings that are cold. Where we're looking at our lives like those rings, where they're just moving pieces, and it's already happened. It's just like laid out, you know. And you're watching you just decide which path you're taking.
Maybe you know what's fun to think about too, because I made that distinction with spatial dimensions, but it might all be the same thing.
It might.
You know, like when someone like people like sci-fi has hijacked the word dimension, and you think you go through like a portal, like Rick and Morty style, but like dimensions in math, it's like we have an XYZ because we're like our organic machinery is tuned to 3D space.
Yeah.
You know, but there's mathematically at least the possibility, and it just makes sense mathematically for more spatial dimensions.
Well,
we just can't experience them.
Yeah.
But they're there, they're present, they're happening.
But maybe we are there. We're just aware in this dimension, and we have no conceptualization of those dimensions that are happening. But we're in all of them. But
in
we're
a way that we can't perceive. But the higher dimensions maybe can perceive us, a higher, lower. You know, I don't know what to call it. But
you can get a shadow, like Carl Sagan would say, of the next dimension. You can get a shadow of it, and maybe the shadow of that dimension is seeing yourself at the end goal of X path you wanted to take. George St. Pierre tapping into a higher dimension, seeing him being a champion, and then just did it. And now he's a world champion, but it was because he had access to some type of dimension in his mind or something. I don't know.
But I think the unlocking of the insecurity is the opening of that possibility, and then you can just manifest, like in a karma yoga kind of way. You just do what you can or what you need to in the 3D through this fourth dimensional or higher dimensional thought process. Like you're talking about the rings. Yeah. Like if there's an extra dimension, an extra direction. It's like you can't go up, down, left, right. You can't get it out. If there's suddenly an extra dimension and they're not linked in that dimension or through that dimension, then you can just kind of like go that way, and it'll be able to move through in a way that's not perceivable 3D. So it looks confusing. Yeah. But as far as the rings are concerned, experientially they separated, and then that translates or trickles into the 3D. It has to. Yeah. Because mathematically it makes sense. So it's like it's exactly the same thing. It doesn't have to be a spatial dimension. It's just the fact that in a higher plane, in a higher way, this possibility can exist, and then you use that avenue, and then that has to translate into the lower dimensions or the whatever other connecting dimensions.
And that translation for him, for example, was being a world champion. But he probably had this drive that he couldn't explain, but he just knew he was meant for something, you know, and that could have been that intuition, which is the higher dimension. Maybe we're hypothesizing here, but that's the driving force that led him to become world champion.
But you're saying that because you feel it.
Yeah, we all feel it.
And I'm nodding my head as you say it.
And you hear champions all the time. Their parents of the champion will be like, I just knew something was in him. Like I gave him the hockey stick, Wayne Gretzky, for example. I gave him the hockey stick. I just knew there's a monster in there that's going to come out, you know? You know, I think his father just knew like that. You know, all these greats, there's something operating in such a deep layer. You know, it just manifests as a world champion of X sport or whatever. You know, use anything as an example. Someone who's great at it. You know, but that came from something else.
Yeah, man. Intuition is weird.
It is weird, man.
You know, you talk about like all the things that your brain is processing, and then like neurologists will tell you that a lot of your brain's job is to quiet stimuli, is to like sift through and filter. Yeah. So there's just all this stuff we're getting that we essentially don't use or don't tap into.
We don't know how to use. We never learned how to use some of them.
But here's the ego part.
Atrophied.
But no, I think it's using us. You know, in that higher dimensional way. And this is where yoga comes in this kind of spiritual understanding where you can let go and give in, and now
That's
you're
the ego,
riding the
you're
wave.
right.
Yeah, we think we're hindering it or something,
Yeah,
but
you're
we're
right.
not.
Yeah, you're right.
We're just
That's
we're just the 3D piece.
Yeah.
And again, maybe in the 3D, literally, it's functioning in this neurological sense, but again, dimensionally, air quotes, we're a smaller, we're a lesser we're working with less directions, you know. So the part of us in this kind of like psycho-spiritual way, the ego is just limited, and it's the job of the ego is to be this thing inside the brain so that it can kind of talk to itself and have all this beautiful revelations and all this figuring out and being able to visualize and learn in that way and reinforce learned things in that way. And all these crazy things come out of having an ego, having this extra, like this kind of self-speaking brain that we've talked about a bunch on the podcast as well. I like that how we're building on our ideas, at least, you know, and it's becoming useful for us, and it's interesting, especially because I realize lately that I don't listen to people very much, and that's shocking for me to say to myself, because I feel like that's a skill that I've always been proud of, and I have, and it's such a simple dimension of life to be able to take myself out of something and listen.
Well, you've always said if you're talking, you're not listening. I don't know where you heard that from, but it's a strong point.
It's kind of metaphorical. I think a lot of people do just again in an experience way we get
but
it.
talking not even in a just a physical form, but you know, when you're just sometimes you're listening to someone, but you're really just forming an idea to shoot back or to, you know, like it's very tricky to really listen and just.
I would say if you're creating, you're not appreciating.
Yeah.
In some strange, or you're not observing.
We're all guilty of it.
Yeah.
That's the
That
essence
doesn't
of
work either, though. But I know, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, we know what we mean. It's an experience. There's a way where you listen, where you really go deep and listen.
Well, that's meditation.
Yeah.
That's what we're really coming down to. That's the real essence of meditation.
I don't, but it's like a step two. It's like,
because when you're listening though to the silence, that's when you really get into the breakthrough practice. We're going off of listening to another person now. We're going to the.
But it connects really directly. You know, just having this kind of solidity within, and then to be able to talk when you need to and shut up when you need to, and really listen to a person. I don't know why I said shut up. It sounds so aggressive, but listen, really stop and really start.
I look at listening, like deeply listening to someone as you're a canvas for their word paint.
Cool.
Yeah, that's kind of how I visualize it.
I think I have a lot of ego there because I'm really good at telling someone back what they're saying. No, a little bit. Like, hey, that doesn't look like a tree. Like if you put some brown in the middle, then it'll kind of create a shading, and then the person's eye, and then they'll go, "Oh, you're right." So there's been so many times when people have been like, "Yeah, that's what I meant."
You had positive feedback behind it or reinforcement.
I think I should be a mediator, like as a job. I think it's like I hear people speaking, like, you know, a lot of people just use English as like the middle ground.
Yeah.
And I know what they're trying to say, but they're not using the right words sometimes. For some reason, I just have this intuition of what they mean. And so many people have told me that I just believe it now, and I've just been so apparently good at it. So anyway, that aside, that's a cool skill, and it's interesting factoid about Sami, but it gives me an ego where I'm listening for a function, even if it's not for me to speak, or maybe it is for me to correct or to nudge someone into. It's like, oh, you mean this, and then the third person will go, oh, I get it, and then now they're happier, and now I'm happier. So it's like there's so much ego wrapped in that function, but it's taking me away from just being. And honestly, I mean, if I just be, I might not talk at all. I might not feel the need to say anything that's not true or necessary or kind. There won't be a point for me. And then suddenly there's not a point to like my job at a call center or my podcast. Like there's a little bit of ego that needs to be involved, and it's maybe not the time or place. And there might be some silly kind of
I don't know
meta ego for me to be like, oh no, I will abstain now. It's like now's not the time, you jackass. You're just showing off.
I don't know if it's about turning that mechanism off as more just understanding it and kind of keeping it in check.
letting it keep me in check.
Mm.
You know, what you said before, what I ended up talking about was like a listening, a deep meditation. And I think I can listen to myself while I talk.
Mm.
And I can nudge myself a lot easier than I can nudge you, but I don't have to. And that's cool, because when you get into your own head and then you're talking when you don't need to, or listening when you don't need to, oddly enough, like we're talking about, that's the same problem. I can pretend I'm listening, but that's again, it's for your benefit. I'm not listening. I'm not listening to my needs, to my true desires, you know, in that deeper sense. So I think it just is the best move, no matter what. Is just go within, try to be less wrong.
Absolutely. And
I keep saying it. Go within.
go within. Let's end it on that.
Are we done? Yeah. We started around 2 or before 2?
A little bit before 2. I got something at 4. That's why.
Let's go with it. I love it. We love you guys. That was a great conversation.
This was fun,
man. I
man.
love you, bro. That was
bro.
fucking awesome.
That was fun. Okay.
Stay curious.
Boom. You got it.
You want to say?
No, you got it.